Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
how's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the Complete Witchblade Hardcover Volume 3 and the Aphrodite IX hardcover from Image Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so before getting started, I do want to thank the folks at Top Cow for sending us copies of these collected editions. So on the left-hand side, we have the Complete Witchblade Volume 3. However, this is the Kickstarter. I think they come with the dust jackets. We'll take a closer look here in a little bit. And then we have Aphrodite IX in an oversized hardcover. So to kind of give you an idea about the size and dimensions of these, here we have a marble omnibus. As you can see, this is a standard size book, so it's more like the size of a Marvel Masterworks, a standard size hardcover, just a little bit taller, but maybe not from this angle, but definitely from this angle, you can tell that the Aphrodite IX is just as tall as an omnibus. And here's the Witchblade. And speaking of Witchblade, let's just go ahead and take a look at this one. We'll go ahead and get it open too. The cover here is by Keucha, D-Tron doing the inks. And again, this is the dust jacket that I believe is only available through the Kickstarter. Yeah, the Kickstarter version. Kind of like what they did with the Cyberforce collection. But underneath this dust jacket, and we'll look at the flaps here. It's this image of Sarah right there. But underneath the dust jacket, this is what the direct market and standard covers look like. It's another image, by the way, by Keucha. And then the spine of the book, and then the back of the book right here. And it tells you what it collects in here, and then this image. Now, this is what it's going to look like together with volumes 1 and 2 on your shelf. It's been about 2 years since Volume 2 came out, but here it is. I remember having Matt Hawkins on the show, and then Mark Silvestri and Matt both joined me on the show, and they were talking about this upcoming book, so people were really happy to hear that they were continuing both this and Darkness. Now, if you do have the other Kickstarters, this is the spine of the Kickstarter and what it will look like on your shelf. And I was one of those people that was really happy too, because I wanted, for the longest time, to replace these compendiums that hold 50 issues in each one. And I'm not gonna lie, this is my third Witchblade Compendium Volume 1. My first one, oh my gosh, it just fell apart. My second one had a huge crease on it. I ended up giving it away as one of our giveaways. And then this is my second Witchblade Compendium. I haven't even cracked these open, but yes, these were notorious for the spines cracking because they're soft covers. And I mean, whenever you have 50 issues, that was going to be a problem. But these are built better, and we'll talk about the build in a little bit, but I did want to go ahead and replace these one day. Alright, so let's go ahead and crack this open. And before I even do, minor spoiler warning, just in case you haven't read the previous 2 volumes and you want to go into this completely surprised. I do have to talk about some of the stories in here. Nothing too big, no big spoilers, but just in case. Okay, let's go ahead and get this opened. I think this signature plate just comes with the Kickstarters, but here we go. The Complete Witchblade Volume 3, created by Mark Silvestri, David Wall, Brian Haberlin, and Michael Turner. And here's the credits for the cover, both the dust jacket and the art on board right there. This is, to me, because I've read these for the first time when I had those compendiums. Witchblade, I collected them as they were coming out, and then when I left comics, I never had a chance to go back and read them. But I actually read them in the compendium format. And I'll talk a little bit about my experience here in a second. This collects Witchblade 37 through 57, and Witchblade Destiny's Child 1 through 3, and Witchblade Lady Death number 1. So what I was saying is that this is going to be the Paul Jenkins era of Witchblade. We still have Christina Z writing a lot of the stories. Rich Veidt coming in and writing some of it. But it's mainly Paul Jenkins after a certain issue, and then we have Francis Manipul coming in. Randy Green is starting off these issues right here. But oh, this is the first time I ever laid eyes on Francis Manipul's artwork. It was before he did the Legion of Superheroes, and then went over, of course, to Batman and the Flash. And I was like, this guy is going to be huge because he just kept getting better and better. So yes, what is the story about? Well, it is the continuing story of this cop right here. This is New York City detective Sarah Bazzini, and she is back with this artifact that bonded with her in the very first issue, and that is the Witchblade. And in this, they kind of explored the idea that the Witchblade itself might be a sentient being, and you can kind of tell he's really protective of Sarah, and I'll explain in a little bit why. I find it kind of funny the way that it started working. Kind of reminded me of, it doesn't talk, right? Well, never mind. It doesn't talk, but it kind of reminded me of the relationship between Vampire Hunter D and his hand, for those that have read the comics. In here, we see what she's trying to do. She's using the character of, let me see if I can find it. There's Lisa and Drex. So she tells Drex that she needs to use him to take down Gallo, and she needs him as a witness. And this is the guy that's kind of been, telling her and being a witness for the police from time to time. And he finally agrees. So she decides to take down Gallo in a non-lethal way. Because I think a lot of us were expecting her just to take him down physically. After Randy Green ends up leaving the book, we do have some artwork in here by Kao Cha, doing internal artwork. And here we have Destiny's Child, not to be confused with Beyonce's original band with all 4 members. Oh man, all of them were hotties. Anyway, what was I talking about? Destiny's Child. It's not so much a Witchblade, like not focusing on the character of Sarah, but it focuses on other characters from her past. And some of the stories start right before the first issue. Like, for example, this is the story of Ian Nottingham and how him and Kenneth Irons kind of got together and why he ended up working for Kenneth. And then we keep going back to the Witchblade issues. And there's plenty of supernaturals and monster stuff in here, too. It's not just her trying to solve crimes and take down crime bosses. And there's only 3 issues of this Destiny's Child. And again, just kind of exploring the supporting cast of Witchblade. Now let's get to issue 47 and 49 and then 50. I'll talk a little bit about those. But I wanted to point out this Michael Zoli's artwork. This is a really creepy and dark story in issue number 47. But by issue 48, we get some artwork in here by Francis Manipul. Now, this is his art, and you can see him evolving later on. I can't wait for the next volume. You're going to see his art just go crazy, and probably the art style that you're used to from the pages of The Flash or the pages of Batman. I'm sorry, Detective Comics. He was working on Detective Comics New 52. But this is what his art style looked like at first. And even, I mean, if you go back and look at Michael Turner's original first issue, you could see how much he evolved. And oh my gosh, it just kept getting better and better. Issue number 50 is a really beautiful issue. This is one that focuses on her and her father and their relationship and how close she was. Because, I mean, ever since the first issue, we knew that she wanted to become a cop like her dad. And we knew the sad story of him not coming home one day. And this kind of explores some of that while still trying to solve cases. And I'm probably jumping ahead too much, but that's okay. Because we got to look at, this is Francis Manipul getting to draw not just Witchblade, but the character of Lady Death. So that's Brian Pulido's character, and this is the one-shot that's collected in here. And then we jump back to the issues of Witchblade. Now, all the way in the back is where you're going to find, because I'm sure you probably noticed that in here, you just have the cover with the issue number and then the credits to who did the cover art, but you don't have the internal credits. That's found all the way in the back here. It's broken down by issues, when the issue originally was published, who the writer was, who the penciler, inker. Sometimes there's pencil assist, like by Kevin Wiggins right there, and the colors and the letters. It's all back here. I kind of wish they had put this in the front, or maybe like a table of contents in the front. But it's the same format that the first 2 volumes had. And then we have the variant covers back here. It's a really beautiful variant cover. This is the one by Brian Ching, who ends up also doing internal artwork. This one here by Mark Silvestri is gorgeous. I love that cover. Billy Tan, I think, inking it. And then the back. Now, this book has 640 pages. Let's check out that binding. You could probably tell that it had a flat spine, but rest assured it does. And it does have sewn binding. And here's what the eye looks like. And the paper stock is printed in this thick, glossy paper, kind of like the first two volumes. It's using the same paper stock that the first two volumes did. And retails for $49.99. Next up is Aphrodite IX. So this one doesn't have a dust jacket. This was recently reprinted. And then we have Aphrodite IX, the complete series, David Wohl, David Finch, Matt Hawkins, and Stepan Sajek. And there you have the Top Cow logo and the Image logo right there. And then the back of the book, the Ultimate Aphrodite IX collection. The retail price, $49.99, and it is rated T. Teen. And no dust jacket, it's just art on the board. All right, let's crack this one open and kind of give you the premise of the story and what this is about and how it all kind of got started and how this is mapped. More importantly, I do need to talk about that. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up. Some lacquer sheets. Aphrodite IX, the complete series, created by David Finch and David Wohl. Published by Top Cow. Here's an introduction from Jason Bannister talking about AI. And I think I never had this book. This is one of those books that I never ended up buying, and it went out of print, and oh my gosh, it went for a ridiculous amount of money. It was insane. So I was like, well, maybe they'll reprint it one day. So I'm glad that they decided to reprint it. So what I was saying is that I don't know if this is the original introduction, but I don't think so, just from the way that he's talking about AI, because AI has just gotten insane lately. And then we have chapter 1. What's really interesting, I wanted to talk about the mapping, is that they collect Aphrodite IX Rebirth in here before Aphrodite IX, or the original issues, which are all collected all the way in the back, the original ones from David Finch. So these are the new series, and I found that really interesting, and I think I know why. So here it is, Aphrodite IX Rebirth. So this does collect Aphrodite IX Rebirth 1 through 11, the Hidden Files, and Aphrodite IX Cyberforce, and the Aphrodite IX original 4-issue series. So what is this story about? Oh my gosh, if you've not read this, this feels like a European heavy metal type of comic. And not just in the artwork, but really that helps out. So Aphrodite IX Rebirth is the story of, in the distant future, you have two sections split up. Like some humans that were genetically enhanced and others that were cybernetically enhanced are separated. And these two humans are, of course, at war with each other. And that's the main plot of the Rebirth issue. So this is in the distant future. Now, at the very beginning, what we're seeing is an attack of the gens. That's what they call themselves. People from Genesis, the ones that are enhanced by genetics. They're being led by their leader here, Marcus, his lovely lady here, Lena, and they're attacking this Sparrow City. So they've been at war for quite some time, and they're flying these giant dragons. Marcus ends up getting shot down, and sadly his dragon passes away. When he is inside of the Sparrow City, though, he finds that there's this young lady that has been trapped in this glass case here, probably in a state of suspended animation, and the glass begins to crack and she is let out. Now, she doesn't remember anything outside of the fact that she can fight, and she can fight well. As they're being attacked by soldiers, she takes each one of them and cracks their neck, breaks them, shoots them, whatever it takes. They jump on these Genesis cycles and head back to the city of Genesis. So, not Genesis cycles, these are the Sparrow cycles. So Kronos, who's in charge, or at least he's in charge of this particular city of Sparrows, he lets out someone else that was asleep. And this is a character named Birch. Sorry, not Butch. Now, Birch, it's interesting when you go back to read the original series, because he has a hidden talent in here that will come to play. Now, Marcus lets this young lady into his family, into his people's home, and she doesn't remember who she is. So, his parents take her in, and his fiance or his lady is like, I don't know, something's off with her. Now we go back to Sparrow City, and what we find out about this character named Birch is that he can control Aphrodite 9. He can manipulate her and take control of her body for about a limit of 20 minutes. And that's what the City of Sparrows does. This is how they use her to take down this family. So what they end up doing is they end up having her kill Marcus's father, so the king. Marcus's mother gets killed by her. And I mean, it is ruthless how they think and what they end up doing, all for the sake of war. So they end up killing Marcus's mother, and this kind of leads him into a fit of rage that just lashes out. This is when Aphrodite realizes that it's been her that's been doing the killings, because she has no memory of what she had just done. Any of these people that she's killed, she doesn't remember. She just wakes up, she has a bloody knife. And it's really interesting what ends up happening here, too. Now, they end up capturing somebody from Sparrows that they blame for killing the king and queen. And something horrible happens later on that kind of makes Marcus question why he even trusted her to begin with. And then, of course, Birch controls her and tells her to kill Marcus. And you can find out exactly what happens here. But eventually she ends up leaving Genesis City. She's being hunted down by different people. And one thing that she learns is that there's other people out there like her, that she's not the only Aphrodite 9. She later on meets Aphrodite 15. And together they decide to take the fight to Birch to stop him from controlling Aphrodite 9. Now, later on, of course, through these pages, you get to find out this is the new executor. What is her name? Jasmine, I think. But anyway, later on, you get to find out all the secrets about Aphrodite 9 and how it ties to the Top Cow universe, including Cyberforce. So it was a really cool, and a lot of that comes to play in issue number 9 of the series. Now, after the series is over, there was also the Hidden Files, which are kind of like case files, the handbook, introducing these characters, who they are, their real names, how long they've been around, and the different cities in this particular world. And then you have Aphrodite 9 and Cyberforce. This really ties in how everything fits together in this futuristic world to the world of Top Cow in the 90s. I thought it was a really cool story, and I'm glad that it ended with that. So what they did was put the original series, this was supposed to be an ongoing series by David Wall and David Finch, and then of course Clarence Lansing and Brian Ching taking over the art. Little bit of info here. This is a forward by David Finch talking about how he wishes things had been different, how he had to leave the book because he couldn't meet deadlines and he was really stressing out. And it would have been really interesting to see where this book went. But this is the story of Aphrodite 9. She is a hired killer. She's completely cybernetic in this story. She is hearing voices in her head, somebody that she calls daddy. But she feels like she's being played. She's being the only person that kind of talks to her is this guy named Birch, who you probably remember from the Future series, the Rebirth series here. Is it the same character? Well, maybe, because this Aphrodite is a little bit different too. Like, she is completely cybernetic, whereas over here you might get the inkling that this particular Aphrodite is more than just a cybernetic being. You can find out for yourself. Look at that beautiful artwork. And there's nothing wrong with David Finch's artwork. David Finch's artwork is phenomenal too. But Stefan Sajic's art, oh my gosh, there's just something amazing about his artwork. I have been a huge fan of his for many years. He's been the one that did Witchblade. He went over to do, of course, the Harleen comic, and then he did his own independent comic. And then his wife also does web comics too. Just phenomenal artist. Oh my gosh. I always said that it feels like this is where, if Michael Turner were still alive, where his art would have eventually evolved to. Something like this. It's a very similar style. And I don't mean any kind of offense by that. That is just, it's a compliment for sure. But yes, you go from that, and then you go to the original series here. Now, the original series definitely open-ended. It looks like there could have been a lot more, but unfortunately, I don't think there was. I think it was just eventually canceled. Now, all the way in the back, you get the science class. This talks about the different Aphrodite versions. There is some spoilers here, so make sure to read the comic first before you go into the science and the behind the scenes. But it's not just the science. Like I said, there's some behind the scenes stuff here too. Like talking about the books and the different chapters and the timelines and continuity, like quoting Marv Wolfman. Love that. And then talking about the different types of stories and how it ties into the Witchblade anime. And some of us are big fans of the Witchblade anime, so much so that they went on to buy the statues of Witchblade. Some of us. Not saying any names. But anyway, back to this book. So in the back here, you're going to find the cover gallery for Aphrodite IX. Stephen Sajek doing the second printing and the first printing. There's a Silvestri cover. This is a take on, of course, the original Aphrodite IX. It's an homage. There's one by David Finch. Cosplay covers. And then you'll even find the covers to the original series back here. Yeah, gotta skip a couple of those because there's a little spoilers. This is the Aphrodite IX Cyberforce cover, and then cover A and cover B right there. That's a beautiful Silvestri cover. Wow, that black and white. And more of the Cyberforce and Aphrodite covers, and then this is issue number 0. Yeah. So a little bit different the way there's even a throwback to her costume. Somebody mentions I liked you better when you were a slutty cheerleader in Aphrodite IX and Rebirth. This like what? She's like, oh man, you really don't remember anything. This is the homage cover that Silvestri did, and the original one here. I guess not so much an homage, right? Maybe it's just new colors. Well, now her face looks a little bit different. And then other variants. Sketch variant. This I appreciated for a couple of reasons. Number one, I love timelines. I love when you're supposed to read certain things. That's why I do reading orders on my channel. But this tells you when it takes place, when these books were originally published, and then when to read other books if you so choose. But it tells you when Aphrodite IX, the original 4-volume series, including issue 0, were originally published, and where it fits into the continuity. And then when this particular Aphrodite IX Rebirth series fits into the continuity. It's interesting that Hidden Files wasn't mapped between 7 and 8. It's actually mapped after issue 11. And then at the very end is Aphrodite IX Cyberforce 1. Here's the creator biographies. Matt Hawkins, Stephen Sajek, it's David Finch, and David Wall. And then other Top Cow essentials. Now, the binding. Much like Witchblade, this is a flat spine. And it does have sewn binding. It's printed in this. It's actually the same kind of paper stock that Witchblade has been printed on. The book has 528 pages and retails for $49.99. If you're interested in purchasing either of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking up Witchblade in this format, if you missed out on Aphrodite IX the first time around, and what other Top Cow reprints or new printings of collections do you want to see. Like Hunter Killer, oh my gosh, to have that in an oversized format. But anyway, love to know what you think, and leave those comments down below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.